yourself in and get ready. The leaders in NBL Supercoach are incoming, giving you the ultimate insight to help you dominate your mates and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NBL Show with your hosts, Matrix and Hammer.
Hello and welcome to the Insight NBL Show. I'm the Supercoach Matrix. I am here with the Hammer, and I tell you what, everybody watching the Adelaide game now knows what it's like to watch my C-grade game.
That's probably the best analogy I've heard of it. It was a ripper of a game. That was good. I like that. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, a bit of passion out there. Look, on today's show, we're going to go through how we went. We're going to go through breaking news. We're going to go through some schedule chat. We're going to go through the game reviews. We've, of course, got our squeeze of the week. Hammer, how'd you go?
Look, I'm going to keep it brief because I did not go anywhere near as well as you, mate. I had 325 for the round. Doolittle killed me in that second game, as he did a lot of us. Look, Keandre Cook was a bright spark for us. Look, despite 325, I still moved up, a dozen spots, and I'm still sitting around that 600 mark. But look, without further ado, tell me about your week, Matrix.
Mate, 356, Captain Cook. And I don't want to keep mentioning it, but our Patreon subscribers heard me go through this big spiel about how I don't expect that Cook can do that much worse than Doolittle. And I reckon it's only going to cost you about 20 points or so if you get it wrong. Well, yep. I got kissed on the wee because Doolittle got hurt, obviously, as we know. And Cook scored really well in the first game. Probably expected to go up a little bit better or go a little bit harder. But, of course, we saw a historic game from James Batemon. I've moved up 100 and odd spots into 173rd. And, just disappointed that I've got 9 days to stew over my trades because that's a long time.
You must be getting some vertigo with those lofty heights, Matrix. But, look, mate, awesome call. Look, we said all along that Doolittle was going to be the safe option. And if he didn't, pull a Hartledge, possibly would have been. But, yeah, look, Keandre Cook was a ballsy move and it paid off. So, mate, congratulations. Should we move into breaking news?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's head into the breaking news.
It's time for some news from around the league.
What do you got?
Oh, there's a little bit going on this week. Look, you're probably the better one to commentate a fight after your C-grade antics week in, week out. So tell us about the Adelaide game.
Mate, I think the fight on the court was a little bit uncalled for. I think Trez sort of got the chair pulled and got pulled down. He started overreacting. Shea Ely stood up for his guy. Everybody come in and stood for their guy. As per usual, we will see Chris Goulding right in the mix of it, doing absolutely nothing. Anyway, I think, you know what, you put a red flag in front of Montrezl Harrell and it worked. He ended up getting sent. Illy got sent. I actually really liked the footage of watching Montrezl Harrell as a leader go, hey, guys, I'm getting thrown out. This is what we need to do in this game. And then, of course, we see the antics from the crowd. Of course, I don't condone any fan touching any players out there on the court. Like, they're out there. They're the reason you're there. Like, that disrespect, I am not all for. But anyway, I understand Trez going off there. I wonder if he might get let off a little bit easier, being a big name import. But I follow a lot of like ESPN America and everything like that. And hey, it's put NBL on the map. So
yeah, but sure. And look, he was mic'd up during the game, so it'll be interesting if the audio gets leaked, similar to the security footage that was leaked with the Aaron Baines, Adam Ford little slap fest in the tunnels. Mate, In other breaking news, the worst kept secret in the NBL, Freddie Gillespie has been released from his contract in New Zealand to pursue European opportunities, which
Yep.
leaves a gaping 7'6" hole that only Taco Fall is going to fill. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure that he was due back health wise, but look, it's good to see him in the league. It'll be entertaining to watch. I'm not sure it will translate very well, but I mean, when you already had him getting involved in and around the team, working on his rehab, Freddie leaves, the next best thing sort of steps in. It is a big name and everybody will watch it. I was just a bit disappointed that they didn't announce it on Tuesday, so it could be Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, look, a little bit of a shame, but I don't think it's one to get too excited about. Freddie Gillespie only averaged about 18 minutes a game, so it's not a huge hole he's filling anyway. He is apparently almost fit, so I don't know when we will see him. But look, we've talked all year about how G League stats have translated almost on par. We've seen it with Kendrick Davis. It's almost mirror image now. So I went through Taco's G League stats. He had a couple of stints. His last stint was in the 21-22 season with Cleveland. Averaged just under 15 points, 10 rebounds, 2.7 blocks in 25 minutes of action. Look, if he's going to get 18 minutes a game, which Freddie Gillespie was, this translates at 1.16 Supercoach points per minute. It's probably the easiest way to translate it, which would have him coming in at just over 20 Supercoach points a game, which would be losing money at that new 277K import price. So for me, fool's gold, despite the schedule, despite the big name, despite, how crazy it would be to, have a 7'6" guy on your team. He's a big red flag for me.
Yeah, I don't think too many people will be adding him, but I was sort of looking for some opportunities. I was actually starting to look at Freddie Gillespie after we had a look at
He was starting to
his
come on.
price. Yeah, so I'm probably disappointed with that, to be completely honest. But look, I'm excited as an NBL fan to watch however this transforms. He's such a big body, not that big of a personality, which people might expect. But hey, he's going to go out there, he's going to play, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on New Zealand. And more people watching the NBL is great for me. I just won't be looking at him for Supercoach.
No. And we have to remember that this league is not built for old school genuine bigs. There's not too many that really translate to either fantasy or certainly not Supercoach. Probably the last one from memory that I can think of that was a genuine 7-footer was Steven Zimmerman with Cairns, who he was a walking double-double, but I think that was in the fantasy model where, your rebounds worth a lot more. So, yeah, I wouldn't be touching him. In other breaking news, out of Brisbane, one for the ages, a historic night for James Bateman, 51, and he was hunting those last 5 or so points like it was nobody's business. He had 45 on an incredibly efficient clip, and then, it was hard to watch. He wasn't efficient at all that last 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm cool with that. Like, the guy would have been gassed. Go out there, hunt the record. Let him go. I was actually just annoyed.
That's a good bit.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually just super annoyed that Perth was throwing so many people at him when he obviously wasn't going to pass it. But that last bucket was great as well. Just shot the ball and played with so much confidence as a bench player, as a guy that steps in. I suppose Supercoach wise, we could get him and let him go up in cash a little bit. But I'm also really worried for Casey Prather's role. So Casey Prather was out. James Bateman stepped up and did this. The Brisbane knocked off some of these, I think, a really good Perth team, to be fair. And
they're talented.
Look,
I don't think they're a good team.
Yeah, okay. A really talented team in Perth. I think Casey Prather might find his minutes diminish a little bit, at least until they ride the hot hand of James Bateman.
Are you not worried this is fool's gold?
Oh, I think it is. But can you ever... Okay, let's have a look at Bateman right now. Can we ever consider it as huge fool's gold when he comes in with a roll and a -10 break even? I just think you might be able to make a quick 50K and then move on?
Look, potentially, but how often's a bloke going to drop 51? It hasn't happened
Never.
ever in the history of the 40-minute game. And for 51 points, he only had 67 Supercoach points. This is the Goulding thing we keep coming back to every week. There is not really any other stats for a point guard. But this guy was meant to come in and be Jalen Adams-ish, that kind of, Kendrick Davis. Look, he's been coming off the bench. Before this 67 Supercoach point outburst, 16, 15, a 34, 13. It hasn't been happy hunting for the little fella.
I'm just saying he's going to score more than -10, and you can
I'll give
ride
him
him.
that.
You can ride the hot hand for a couple of weeks. I don't think that you'll hold him at the end of the year, but I think the way
Say
that
Just say it. Go on.
I think he can make 50K.
Oh, we're halfway there.
I think 50K is worth a trade. Honestly, like you're probably set up. You probably have all the Perth assets outside of Bryce Cotton that you want. There's a great schedule going forward. If he does happen to jag a 40 or something next week, riding the confidence that he has, I just think that I didn't get Will Hickey because I didn't believe it when I saw it with a -10 break even. Given the opportunity, I'm at least going to be considering it.
I think he's worth considering as a bench option. They're going to have a great run, and when we get into scheduled chat, I'm gonna float an idea and see what sticks. I'm working on a little something here, but look, I don't think he's a guy that you can bank on as a starter. He's going to leave you disappointed. It's like when you bring a girl home from the club back in your younger days, Matrix, and you're thinking, man, this is an absolute unicorn. The dim lights, the smoke machine, the heavy makeup, whatever it is, and then you wake up in the morning and you're thinking 127 hours trying to chew your arm off. I think that's going to be James Bateman. You brought him home as a unicorn, and next thing you know, he's dropping 5s and 6s.
I don't really know what you talk about as a unicorn when you bring him home from the club, but that's not the explanation I expected. But, mate, I'm just saying we might consider it. I don't think he's a long-term play. I think he's a short-term cash grab, and that's all it is. But when you have the luxury of maybe holding a bloke through some doubles and things like that, I do think it's a good play. Put this into perspective. It costs you 50K to go Ben Henschel to this man. If you were, I was holding Ty Webster. That's 70K from a guy that has, I suppose, the absolute ceiling of the 60 Supercoach points. Like Ty Webster, Ben Henschel aren't doing that with Bryce Cotton coming back. I'm looking to get off some of these guys. Maybe I could just ride Brisbane's schedule a little bit as a platform to someone else.
All right. Can we get into some scheduled chat then? I think it's going to tie in here. You bring up the schedule.
Yeah. Do it.
So, Brisbane, I'm all on loading up. They've got this run here. So, they're a single this week, but from 11 to 18, they are on doubles. But we've spoken all year about how you can't trust half these blokes. They're cheap enough, most of them now, and with the cash a lot of us have made, to play them on the bench. I would be more than happy with Bateman. He was 250K the other day. He's probably gone up a bit, to play him as a backup and bring him in when I need to. Have a look at Adelaide's schedule. So, single here in round 10, then a double, a single, and then they've got a pretty good run home. I have my eyes firmly on Kendrick Davis and Montrezl Harrell. And you start to look where you compare these guys with some of the other teams. For me, I think that's going to be the goal. Davis and Trez gives you a captain option very regularly. And some of those gaps, like you look in round 12, you've still got your New Zealand guys, you've got your Parker Jackson Cartwrights. You look in the single they've got in round 15, you've got New Zealand again. You've got some other teams playing there. I want to really target Adelaide. What are your thoughts on this?
I do. Look, starting out the week and not seeing some of these Brisbane Bullets, I had a little plan in place, and it was to get somebody like Xavier Cooks in as a stepping stone to Trez the following week. So I'm starting to think that maybe I could forego a Doolittle or somebody like that
Yep.
just for a week or so, go a little bit early because I can just play Cooks and then go straight from Cooks to Montrez, which was a similar plan to go straight from like a Keandre Cooks or a Bryce Cotton or somebody like that to a Kendrick Davis. Maybe I could go Ben Henschel to James Bateman to Keandre Cooks, something like that. I'm starting to plan these stepping stones because when I see Illawarra, and I've got a spicy one when it comes to Illawarra, but I've got this stepping stone plan in place, and it is centered around Sydney Kings and Illawarra Hawks into Adelaide 36ers. So I'm keeping on using those trades, but maybe keeping those Brisbane assets, maybe keeping those Perth assets another couple weeks.
Yeah. Look, I think that's the plan. I think the best thing you can do is look a couple of steps ahead like that. These Adelaide guys are getting right up there in price. I think Kendrick Davis is about 435 now, which is huge. A lot of the guys we've had have been losing cash. Like Doolittle's just hemorrhaging at the moment. I'm thinking of getting off him early, even playing an Almanza for a week. I think it's worth that little potential drop to get onto these guys before they get too expensive. Because I look at it that those guys are getting more expensive and the Doolittles are getting cheaper, which is making that gap even bigger. And I need to make a move sooner or later.
Yeah, I think we do have to. And I'm not actually afraid when I see Brisbane's schedule to trade out somebody like a Josh Bannon.
Yep.
In hopes of getting him back in a couple of weeks and just riding the wave a little bit. I've still got a boost left and I'm trying to avoid like basically nothing somebody out or taking a tremendous drop. But I have been looking for somebody, maybe a Rocco, somebody like that you can get if their role changes.
Yeah.
Now, what I was talking about with Illawarra was Sam Froling. I've been relatively... I don't think I've got a captain. I don't think I've got a centre right basically all year. I forego that great run of Matt Hurt. I've got Pinder. I never had Tyrell Harrison, but he went up 100K as well. So I didn't have him when he went up 100K. I thankfully didn't get him this week. And I've got somebody like Menenga or somebody like that off the bench. I am wondering whether a Sam Froling for a 1 week play could really pan out, especially playing New Zealand this upcoming week. I don't know. I just think Sam Froling is somebody that we haven't talked about all year because he come in at 356K. He's dropped a little bit. He's dropping 30s every week. Maybe he's just somebody that's a lot safer than playing a Pinder this week.
Yeah, look, I agree completely. My only concern is it's probably a 1 week rental. You've got to have a plan to get off it. But the upside of that too is how bad Darius Days has been. This guy is dropping low teens week after week at the moment. He's down to $224,000. This is the guy who was high 300s early in the season, and we were all talking about him as must-have, and he has dropped off a cliff. So this is something to watch. Like, how does this play out? I haven't looked at his minutes. Is his minutes starting to drop? Is Aldrich benefiting, or are they just looking for Sam more? But Sam's definitely the target up front.
Yeah, he is. And look, he's only got a 3-round average of 28. Like, it's nothing too excited when you look at somebody like Josh Bannon that has a, what's he got? A 3-round average of 32.
Hang on.
Like, it's nothing that exciting.
While you're talking about Bannon, we should have brought this up in breaking news. Is this the greatest robbery of the season?
Which one?
The double-double that we missed out on?
Oh, absolutely. I was getting so many DMs. Everything was blowing up. I tried to rally a community around me to get Bannon his double-double. Justice for Josh. But I don't know. He was on 9 rebounds for the whole last quarter.
Yeah.
I'm not really.
It shouldn't have come down to this.
No, it shouldn't have.
No. It was frustrating, but look, we got our little chat, and there was guys throwing, freeze frame, slow-mo in there. Like, I swear he touched it. I got the toilet in here saying he's never touched it. I think you need to stop touching it and admit that he got his hand on it. This was clear.
Let me bring up this chat again. It's like, tell me you didn't own Bannon without telling me you didn't own Bannon. Done. Look, we're talking about the Bullets. Let's head into our weekly preview, because we've just talked 20 minutes. We're gonna have a lot of similar chats as we go through, and we look forward. But look, let's have our little review. Oh, I can't find the stinger. Mate, Tassie took care of the Bullets.
Good game.
Milton Doyle, 41 Supercoach points. Keandre Cook, 40 Supercoach points. And if we could, free snap in time, Matrix was happy.
Yeah. Look, Doyle, he was great in this one. He had the 32 actual points. He came out aggressive, hit the 3 off the tip, and then he tried to posterize someone missing the dunk, but he meant business from the get-go. Look, the real story for me in this one was the return of Shawnee Mack. He played almost 18 minutes off the bench. He had the 7.7 assists, and they just look so much better with him out there. I think everyone's going to be a bit better with Shawnee Mack back in the mix. Looking down to Brisbane, this was one that was all about Keandre Cook. I started texting you, Matrix, throughout the game. He played the 31 minutes, had 23 points, but he looked elite. And the 5 steals, I think that's what really pushed his score up. But look, always nice game 1 of the round when your captain plays to be thinking, okay, whatever happens in game 2, I've made a pretty good decision.
Absolutely hit it out of the park with this one. But I loved his role, and even the way that he scored in the next game with somebody else scoring 51 Supercoach points. I'm just glad I brought him in. So moving forward, excited about Keandre Cook. Did start to get a little annoyed, I suppose, when I started to see Casey Prather play really well. Justice was served for me after that. And I was happy with Bannon's 26 points in this one.
Look, easily should have been 31 plus, but we won't go there again. Harrison was underwhelming. He had the 16 points. It was 7 of 8 shooting, but only the 5 rebounds and didn't get a block. But look, another example of James Batemon. Played 26 minutes in this off the bench, 15 points, hardly registered another stat. This is a guy who's meant to be a point guard. He's like Bubbles. Excuse me, Bubbles Light.
Yeah. And that's probably a good comparison. I think he's going to heat up, and you've got to ride the hot hand in Supercoach, but we can't rely on him getting any other stats. And if he's cold, you're going to get some single-digit Supercoach scores, which you can't hold on for too long.
No, for sure.
Can we have a chat about Shawnee Mack a bit? 170K, rolled into his first game and scored 21 Supercoach points. A lot of these in assists. I think he had 7 assists in this one.
7. He was great.
Mate, the team looks better with him in there. We're on another single next week, but do you think possibly some price rises, possibly a bench guard option? He's cheap enough.
Yeah, look, when you say a bench option, I would not be surprised if, as he gets a bit of fitness back and some run under the legs, that he becomes your starting point guard, because they look so much better with him out there. I wouldn't be surprised if then you move Jordan Crawford to the bench and comes back on as that bit of a microwave like they had in the finals last year. Look, it's Tassie's schedule for me that's the worry. So between rounds 9 and 12, all singles. You're probably looking around, if you want to bring him in, round 15 onwards, unless you're just purely looking at cash.
So we just had round 9, 10, and he's going to get a price rise in 11. At least all I'm thinking is if he's going to go up a ton of cash, you can get him in round 11 heading into the double. That's all I was thinking. If he goes really well, like if he's scoring 20 to, like he had to have been rusty. He hasn't played in so long. This is his first game this year. Scores 21 Supercoach points in the first one. I'm just starting to think like, you know what? Once he gets his legs under him, yeah, maybe he could be a 30 point per game guy. In which case, we could see, dare I say, like he could make 100K.
I think you need to put that on a t-shirt. That's the new Matrix slogan. I love it. I'd wear it. But you're right. And we've got to look back to the preseason. Before the injury, there was talk that he was going to be the starting point guard.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, I like it, but look, a cash grab, the schedule just doesn't allow it. Has his schedule all year has been very patchy.
Yeah, I went into the season thinking I probably won't own a Tassie player all year. And Will Magnay's been on and off. Look, you probably didn't own Will Magnay, but at his 320K, 23, I think he still managed to go up in cash this week. He's just mid, and that's
Never
okay sometimes in Supercoach.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Last year, he had that real purple patch, and he was elite in this run towards the end of the year. He hasn't put it together this year. We've seen glimpses, but not enough. And that's about all I liked out of that game.
Mate, no Thursday night game in this one, but I did really enjoy the double on Friday night. Did not watch a Christmas movie, might I add.
Did you watch a basketball movie?
No, I just watched Perth Wildcats versus Southeast Melbourne till about 11 o'clock Queensland time. But Perth did take care of Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, and Bryce Cotton was elite.
Yeah, that second quarter, Perth dropped 40 points as a team. And look, I know Josh King, the coach of Southeast Melbourne, was having a bit of a whinge in the press conference afterwards. But
no, he didn't. He just stated facts.
That's true. Let's make a clear distinction there. But look, we were banking on Cotton dropping more cash. We were banking on him getting eased in, and he did everything but in this one. He came out from the get-go, and he dropped 33 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and he looked like he hadn't missed a step.
I think it was Michael Randall. He's in Podmasters or something like that. He was messaging us, and all he said was, I talked to Cotton. Bryce said if he plays, he will be ready. And he played, and he was ready. Like, just imagine coming out there after not playing 5 games and just lighting it up with 33 points. Yeah. I honestly can't imagine that.
Yeah, we were a bit worried about how this might affect Benny Henschel, Elijah Pepper. My concerns were allayed pretty early. Henschel played almost 28 minutes in this one. Wasn't anywhere near as assertive. He only got 6 shots off, had 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. The 3 steals did help. He had 44 Supercoach points across the double round. Pinder in this one was the story, though. What happened there?
Nothing?
Yeah, that's the problem.
I think he was outplayed by Almanza in this one, and John Really's just showed that he's gonna ride the hot hand. You know what? Actually, watching it, Pinder did not look that bad. I don't understand why they kept taking him off, but
he got the early hook.
Yeah, they did, and I don't really understand. He got an earlier hook earlier on in the year, and he was awful in that game. So I understand that. Maybe Really's just got a thing like, if I start to see bad Pinder going out there, I'm just going to play Almanza. But I suppose the story around me was Ty Webster, Elijah Pepper, Henschel, and Bryce Cotton, and I want to get rid of everybody not named Bryce Cotton in that lineup.
Yeah. Look, Doolittle as a captain in this one, I was okay with it. He didn't rebound well. He ended up with 7, had the 12 points, so missed the double-double. He played his normal sort of 31 minutes. Due to it being a bit of a blowout, the actual score was a bit flattering in the end. He probably didn't play the 35 we were hoping for. But the 5 assists were good. His assist numbers have been great. And the turnovers, he only had 2 in this one. It was down on some of the 5-6 turnover games we've seen. But look, I think he had 31 or something as a captain option. And look, in a round where I thought go with the safe option, I was okay at this point.
Bit weird on a single after a string of singles to have a couple of Southeast Melbourne players. But I had Malik Lewis, 30 points, really good, still has a 4 break even. I held on to Sobey thinking this high
Same.
octane game with the Wildcats. Look, I'm really glad I got rid of Ty Webster and things like that. I just expected a bit more from Sobey. He actually, the eye test in the first half, he was absolutely cooking. He was on about 13 Supercoach points in the first half, and then the turnovers crept into his game. Southeast Melbourne started struggling. They leaned on Derek Walton Jr. a little bit. This might be the last we own of Sobey this year.
I think so. He served his purpose. He won himself one of your t-shirts matrix. He did go up 100K. Malik Lewis is another one. He's probably gone up 100K. He was another absolute perler of a pick. He was good in this one. Matt Hurt was the story for Sam. 27 and 10 after having a couple of down weeks. Another story, though, to keep an eye on. The other import, Wieskamp. DNP coach's decision after playing only 6 or so minutes the week before. With the FIBA break looming, rumours starting to swirl. Is there a chance that he's gone and that Southeast Melbourne look to make a move on the import front?
Yeah, I think so. Southeast Melbourne I know they've only been around a couple years, but they've kind of been perennially disappointing is probably how I'd say. And
Yeah.
I think I think that they did really well on the open market with Matt Hurt. I actually thought they did really well with Joey Wieskamp as well. They've went and got Derek Walton Jr. They've added Nathan Sobey, of course, not an import, but they've added, some top tier Australian talent. They've got themselves a next star. They were last. They've started moving their way back with Josh King, who I think is actually a pretty good coach. I've liked what I've seen.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that they'll be happy to spend up big because Melbourne is the home of basketball in Australia. And to sell tickets, they need dubs.
Yeah. Look, the roster, as it was constructed, the premise behind it was there. The idea had merit, but I think that the Derek Walton Jr. Sobey situation has hurt. I think Wieskamp not being able to hit a shot has hurt. And Matt Hurt has been the only thing that hasn't hurt them.
Yeah.
The idea was to have these wings that could, stroke it from range to open up the lanes for Derek Walton Jr. to get in and create. But then I don't even know what you call it, the conflict, the role confusion, whatever it is between who wants the ball hasn't worked. We're still seeing Derek Walton Jr. come off the bench. It's making both of them untouchable again. I think Hurt's the only one that sort of floats above it and gets his because he doesn't need the ball to do it.
It was kind of this sort of James, to go to NBA, when James Harden had a really ball dominant guard beside him, you needed to separate them to make it better. Probably why in the early 2010s we saw James Harden come off the bench so that they could let Russ cook and then James Harden come in. I think they need to go back to that. I hope Sobey's got a small enough ego, or Derek Walton's got a small enough ego that they can say, Sobey, you play with the starters, Derek Walton, you do the other thing, because they're both such great players. But I think they're just sitting on opposite sides of the court, and then whoever gets it is playing this ISO ball, which I just don't think is conducive with winning basketball.
No, for sure. It can't last. They looked a lot better when Walton was out. But I think that also looked just as good if Sobey was out. It's like when the Boomers were getting ready for the Olympics, this one's just gone, trying to work out how to stagger Paddy Mills and Josh Giddey. Both ball dominant, both can't play together. They're going to have to figure out something like that. But yeah, this game was this was over after that second quarter.
So what you're saying, like how Paddy's going to retire before the next Olympics, one of these guys needs to retire. Cool. Let's move on to Cairns Taipans. Yeah, Cairns Taipans versus New Zealand Breakers. The only thing I hated about this is Cairns Taipans kept New Zealand to 77, which didn't let Parker Jackson Cartwright cook. You say it every week. At least when Parker Jackson Cartwright has a down game, he still scores okay.
Yeah, look, 25 out of this, 3 turnovers brought it down a bit. 31 minutes was a little probably under considering the way the game went. But look, this was a game until Rob Rob Edwards fouled out. He was on an absolute heater this one. He had 33 points. They really needed him back after missing the last week.
Yeah, it's true. He came out cooking. He was phenomenal. And this was the Rob Edwards I'd hoped when I owned him, but don't pass the salt just yet, because I'm pretty happy that I didn't buy Taron Armstrong. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm happy to have missed it. I would have liked to have owned him earlier in the season, but there's enough options around now. Matt Mooney's another one we've been tracking pretty closely. He had a really great run, got himself well up into the 300s cash-wise. He's had some down games. How did you see it this week from him?
He was okay. 15 points, 6 assists. This is more what I thought. And when I was saying what I needed to do was see him pop out there and start playing a bit better before I added him, I liked what I saw. What I didn't like was he got a lot of his points from steals, which we know are quite a fickle stat. And he did lose 6 points from turnovers. So if he has a game where Cairns don't turn, like, let's face it, sometimes you get a steal and it's just lucky. So we see Matt Mooney. Yeah, we see Matt Mooney not get his steals in this one. Says he gets 1, and then we're talking about 20 Supercoach points, and we're talking about him not being in form because he didn't rebound that well. He only had the 3 assists as a guard. I'm not convinced just yet. It's not going to happen this week. I need to see enough next week, and I think I can add him after that.
Yeah, I think so. He's well down the 200s. Look, the other ones out of New Zealand is they've been ravaged by injuries still. Jonah Bolden's out. Still haven't seen the return of Mo King. Haven't seen Max Darling come back after his 1 or 2 games where he looked like half a basketball player. Look, I think we're safe carrying Parker Jackson Cartwright, but like we said before, with Adelaide's schedule coming up, with Brisbane starting to show some life, we're going to see some different teams. There's some options that you can play with, and it's not going to be as dominated by New Zealand as we probably thought at one point.
I'll give you a couple of names and you let me know what you think, whether they are a trade or a hold.
As in a trade in or a trade out?
So trade out or a hold, or trade in, either way. Sam Menenga.
I'm on the fence here, man. This is a guy who can play center in a very weak position. There's not a lot of options. At a decent price point, great role, but he always just leaves you wanting more, doesn't he? I think
he does.
A hold.
That's good because I thought I'd cash out on him. I actually thought I'd cash out on him, but we see the 12 points. We see a couple of rebounds because he's still a little bit of like a shooter. He has a weird role in this team.
Yeah.
I wonder with Freddie Gillespie going, I'm presuming there's going to be a little bit. Like, do we think Taco Fall's going to be ready before Freddie Gillespie goes? Or is it just
Freddie's gone.
34 minutes of Sam Menenga?
I think there's going to be an uptick. Freddie's gone already. Taco is apparently still got that quad injury or whatever. I don't think he's good to go. Maybe by the end of this fever break, perhaps. But like I said, he's probably going to, at best, play Freddie's minutes. Jonah Bolden's out. We know that Sam can slide a little to the 4 if needed. I think Sam plays a little more, but even when he plays a little more, sometimes he's just out there running up and down. It's like he's doing the beep test sometimes.
Yeah, there's a bit of cardio going on there from him. Next one, Taron Armstrong, 233K, 27 break even on singles.
For me, probably a trade out. Look, we talked about guys with just as weaker schedules. Sean McDonald, that would be my one if I'm looking to trade. But yeah, it depends how much you can do with your other trades. We might even have a choice at this point.
Last one, Kareem Lopez, 270K. He has, I tell you what, he's made 100K. He's made 100K since I've missed his first price rise.
Yeah.
So 57 break even, has a golden schedule, which is probably, I was going to say Australia's biggest concern. Is it Mexico's biggest concern?
Hola.
Yeah, scored 14 in this one. What are you
Yeah.
doing with
Look,
Cream, the Dream?
I think he is a trade. I think you've maxed out the cash. And originally we said we're just holding for cash. He's a 17-year-old kid. I don't think he's going to be putting up the production we need. And if you're not trading him out, you're probably trying to play him ahead of a Pinder. You play him ahead of a Doolittle if you're moving if you're moving Pinder up to center. I think there's enough options going to open up, and you're going to need that cash. For me, if you're playing a Pinder and a Doolittle at your two forward positions, you can get Kareem Lopez out, cash out on that guy. Even if you slide a Benny Henschel up for another week to your forward position and you get in a cheap guard, Shawnee Mack might make some cash. Some of these other guys you mentioned, a Batemon, whatever. And you're going to start stockpiling some cash to get on Kendrick Davis or Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah, if we're talking about making cash, Kareem Lopez with a 57 break even, trading it to somebody with a minus 10 break even. And the fact that he's 17 is the only reason I'm not making more Cream jokes. So let's move on. Illawarra Hawks beat the Sydney Kings. I actually couldn't watch all of this one. My multi got up. Would you like to know my multi?
I want to hear all about your multi-matrix.
Jalen Adams over 15.5 Supercoach points. Darius Days under 11.5. And Will Hickey under 8.5. Paying $7.
Nicely done.
You're welcome.
This game didn't reach any great heights. Probably the only real takeaways we've got from it is that, look, we talked pretty favourably about trading in Jalen Adams on a single good break even, ready for this double this upcoming round. That one seemed to check out pretty well. We talked about Will Hickey being time to get off. That was absolutely justified. He shit the bed. Darius Days was putrid again. And even at 224K, I don't think I will even consider him. There wasn't a lot out of this game that really got me that excited at all.
No. If I can talk about the fact that Sydney seems now, and I don't know whether it was Cam Oliver's little whinge to Gorge, and Sydney Kings lost. So I don't know if this is going to stay, but they do seem to have more defined roles. They seem to have shortened the rotation a little bit. They're not mucking around with, say, Robertson lineups. They're not starting and playing Kelly LePepe huge minutes. Sean Bruce, we're not talking about his breakout games. It looks like Liafa's made that jump over him. Not that I'm mentioning it for Supercoach, but he is a guy that doesn't shoot the ball a lot, which is allowing your Adams, your Cooks, and your Oliver to quote-unquote cook. And I love that for watching Sydney play, and especially for Supercoach.
Yeah, we've said it all along. A tight rotation is what you want with Supercoach. I just don't enjoy watching the circus anymore. Sydney just irritate me. I barely watch this game, to be honest. But I'll tell you what I'm going to give a massive thumbs down to this week is the NBL app and the stats. It was putrid. How many games were the stats just not available? Awful.
Yeah, they just... Supercoach actually come out on Twitter after, me and my pals were creating a little bit of an uproar. And Supercoach NBL were just like, whoa, I just followed the NBL app. Way to throw your mate under the bus. Maybe you should employ your own stats keepers to at least double check.
Right.
Yeah, or at least double check. I don't know. That one was up in the air. But I think that they should just double check these things because we are talking, a lot of people are in cash Supercoach comps. Supercoach is huge in the other sports. I think to get up to that level, NBL need an app that works and they need scorekeepers that get it right.
Yeah. I remember like in the first year of fantasy, the broadcast promoted a lot better. They had like running Supercoach score graphics along the screen. All the commentators would have their starting, Supercoach squad up each week. I think they need to go back to that.
They should. Maybe we should just maybe they should just sign us for KO, and we could do an alternate stream where we commentate just from a Supercoach standpoint. We're not talking about that being 3 Supercoach points. We are talking about that being we're not talking about that being a 3-pointer. We're talking about that as if it's 3 Supercoach points for Adams, 2 points for Cooks, and a -2 for Huang Lee at the other end.
You know what? We should record this and send in a pilot and say, do this what you want, but this is the future.
We could. I did have a look, at least at the stats. I'm going to go back and rewatch this one. It was my brother's 30th birthday. I have an excuse. I actually watched the Cairns Taipans and New Zealand Breakers at his party, but I was watching to see if I could see any bright sparks for Illawarra to grab. And if Sam Froling bumped out a 40, he would have been an absolute lock for me. I'm still a little bit cautious. They just shared the ball. They had a deep bench. I think that they might have played 9 players in this one, with some of the guys that scored weekly were week WEAK, not DAYS, were Days, Hickey, Peatling, like some of these guys that you expect to score better. So do you have a red flag on Illawarra, or is that just me?
I think so. Look, I don't think it's the same team we saw early on that were dominant, and I don't think it's the same team that we rode with Hickey either. They're in a funk. They're getting some wins here and there, but Supercoach-wise, I don't think it's a safe bet to really dabble. You talk about Froling. Every single year, they talk about him making the leap, and he somehow doesn't. Rucker was on in the preseason talking about him. He's going to turn the corner. He wants to be the Boomers' centre. It's his year to put up 20 and 10. He's still young, and we're not even close to that 20 and 10 a game, are we?
No, we're not. But I agree with a flying toilet in this one. You're a glass half empty type of guy. Can you please tell me one thing you like about the Illawarra Hawks? And they won this one against championship favourites, the Sydney Kings. Tell me something you liked.
I like Trey Kell. I'll give you that. His game is efficient. It's smooth. It is palatable. But yeah, there's one for you.
Thanks. Okay, let's head to the Malice at Melbourne game. Melbourne United 113 beat the Adelaide 36ers 93. Now, I don't think you lose Supercoach points for getting ejected, right?
No, surely not. Otherwise, you would be in negatives every single Tuesday night.
But Kendrick Davis, the big one, 62 Supercoach points. He is him. He could be a 435k cash cow. He could be like Parker Jackson Cartwright earlier on in the year.
Yeah. Look, I was talking to a mate about this one during the game, and he's pretty much Parker Jackson Cartwright with more options around him. The 11 assists was good, but it could have easily been 15 to 20 if guys could make a layup. He was 17 of 18 from the free throw line. He was just getting to the cup. Only the 2 turnovers. Played the 36 minutes, which I love. They're not subbing him off. But, mate, can I just get a little bit of something here? I called this early, right? Preseason.
Yeah, I think people were so high on Kendrick Davis when we had a look at his G League stats, and I love it. I think this surpassed what we all thought, though.
Yeah, he started slow, and there was some worries there, but he has really found his groove. He's possibly, I'll go on a limb, he's at least top 2, if not the best point guard in the league this year. Harrell, limited because of the ejection minutes wise, but he was dominant. Only had the 3 rebounds, but the 20 points was elite. DJ 3J got the shots up like there was no tomorrow, but I think Kendrick Davis is the pick at Adelaide right now.
I love Adelaide as a Supercoach team because of the big minutes and the big roles for some of these guys. Like, if your name isn't Montrezl Harrell, DJ Vasiljevic, or Kendrick Davis, you are just a role player. And that is perfect for Supercoach.
Mm. And it's consistent. It's not John Rillie deciding these superstars not going to play this week. It's not Brian Gorgian deciding your imports coming off the bench and you're not going to play Kelly LePepe after starting him 6 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Mike Wells, he's consistent, he's comfortable. I love it. Hey, man, go on. I'm just lost thinking about how good Adelaide is.
If Montrezl Harrell gets, say, a 5-game suspension, do you look at Jarrell Martin?
No. I looked at him closely after Trez got ejected, and there wasn't much that I liked at all. Well, he played almost 20 minutes in this one. Only the 4 points. He did have 9 rebounds, but a lot of them kind of just fell in his lap. He's the round mound of the occasional rebound. Look, he would have scored okay Supercoach wise, but I just don't love it.
Cool. That's what I wanted to check. And also, if your only way to get Kendrick Davis next week, and let's keep in mind that you probably need 140K to go Bryce Cotton to Kendrick Davis.
Yeah.
If your only way to get Kendrick Davis next week is to go Parker Jackson Cartwright to Kendrick Davis this week, do you do it?
No.
Cool.
PJC on a double, Kendrick on a single. I don't think you can do it.
I think what I'm taking into account when I ask that is not points on the board. I think over 2 weeks, Parker Jackson Cartwright will outscore Kendrick Davis. But there's also the opportunity for Kendrick Davis to make maybe 60K, whereas Parker Jackson Cartwright is probably looking at losing 30K this week.
Yeah.
That's why I asked that.
Yeah. I think there's a world where you could hold both. I think that's got to be the goal. That's a pretty elite backcourt. Look, I'm seeing some stuff in the chat about Jarrell Martin again. He could be a bench piece, I think.
Yeah.
He'd have to be low in cash now.
I'm just asking because I see a lot of people start Ben Henschel last week at their guard spot. You can't get to Kendrick Davis. You can't even go Sam Menenga to... You can't go Sam Menenga to... You've got to go Doolittle to Rocco Zakarsky. And then you still don't get Ben Henschel to Kendrick Davis next week. That's my problem with that. Like, Kendrick Davis and you're 100% captaining him. That's... on a double. That's why I'm bringing that in. I'm just saying maybe if you're not captaining Parker Jackson Cartwright next week, it's worth a look.
Yeah. So looking at my squad before trades, I have 170K in the bank. This is probably where I can make that move on Kendrick Davis. I have 1 boost left as well. Like you said, I don't quite know when to pull the trigger yet.
No. If I do, I need to make sure I'm making 60K to set myself up for the run home.
Yeah, for sure.
Is James Batemon that guy? Brisbane Bullets, 105, beat Perth, 84, in one of probably Brisbane's best performance in Brisbane ever.
Yeah. Look, it's an absolute mammoth effort. The 51 points is undeniably incredible. The efficiency that he did it with, he finished with 19 of 28 from the field, but I think it was 18 of 24 at one point. It looked elite. He sprayed a few up chasing that 50 piece. But like we said earlier, 67 Supercoach points is not a great return from 51 actual points. I'm calling him bubbles at best. If you go back through all of his stats, I don't think the guy has more than a couple of assists in a game. As your starting point guard, who's meant to be consistent, who's meant to be built in the mold of Jalen Adams, of Kendrick Davis, of Derek Walton Jr. He's not it. He's more of a microwave scorer off the bench. What do you
Which
think's
I'm
gonna happen
okay
to
with a
Taylor
negative
returning?
10 break even.
Yeah, and I get that. You're going to make a little bit of cash, but with limited trades, can you get off it or can you afford to keep him on your bench? That's probably what it comes down to.
I think at 330k, you're going to be able to get off it and just ride the hot hand from whoever's on doubles.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's a tough one for me. You could probably talk me into it, but you've talked me into worse things, actually.
This is actually the same situation where you're down and I'm up as Nathan Sobey. And did Nathan Sobey make 100k, my friend?
He almost made as much as Will Hickey, my friend.
Thanks, man. Means a lot. Will Hickey will be enjoy those 2 Supercoach points this week. Keanu Pinder, 41 in this one. If you are a shooting big man and you're playing against Tyrell Harrison, you can play him off the floor by just making shots.
You can, but then who are you playing onto the floor? Is it Zakarsky, or do you have to go all the way down to Tui Smith-Milner?
Well, Zakarsky was fucking good. Zakarsky had his best game as a Bullet. Probably his best game. It's his best game of his career because he's only played for the Bullets. But
yeah.
I saw Zakarsky with the 5-5 and a little bit in the first one at whatever he was, 100k. Yeah. And then I saw this one and I was like, oh, it's like that meme. So you're saying there's a chance? Like, I need a downgrade.
Is it fool's gold? Are we getting sucked into this?
Yeah, it's fool's gold. I know, but I could still get sucked into it.
Talking of someone who is completely Supercoach irrelevant, but also one of my favorite players to watch, Emmett Nah. I just think he's such a good player. I really appreciate his game.
Yeah, nah.
Nah.
Have you seen it? Yeah. Have you seen his? I think that's his Instagram handle. Yeah, nah. I rate it. Dengadell might be 50k at the end of the year. Just something I'm throwing out there. I was disappointed in Bannon in this one. I liked the matchup. I thought that he might have been able to score a little bit better at the 4 spot.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be good for him, and especially with Doolittle only playing the 7 minutes. Look, it wasn't amazing, and look, the whole round for Bannon, I thought he would have done a lot more against Tassie. They're weak in the 4 spot as well. Look, he's mid. I think he had a better rookie campaign, to be honest.
Dylan Windler in this one scored well. I actually just missed out on the double-double by not scoring enough points. I think in nearly every game he scored over 10 points, so owners would have been disappointed. Almanza, good again. I tell you what, I wish Rocco played a bit like Almanza too.
That was the weekend.
That was the weekend. Look, let's answer a couple questions and let's get out of here.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
Whew. Sorry, I'm scrolling through. We answered a lot of these along the way. Could Dengadell be an option if he finds his groove? What is he like as a player?
Ooh. Do you want to take this one?
Dengadell actually had a fantastic preseason this year. This season's been hampered by injury, and every time he steps out on the floor, I think that they're giving him 3 minutes at the end of the quarter because they've got faith in Bannon. Bannon has been mid, but you need those great role-playing guys in your team if you're going to have a run. So they're giving Dengadell 3 minutes at the end of quarters, and he is turning the ball over. He is fumbling over the ball. He does not look like an NBL player at the moment. We've seen him do it in preseason. I expected more. I think with the way that he is skyrocketing down, plummeting down, you just need to see a couple games string together. But more so than anything, I need to see the coach have a little bit more faith in him because if I was his coach, I wouldn't be playing him.
Yeah, look, we're seeing what we saw in Illawarra a couple of years ago. He's trying to do too much. It's not him. I think the injuries derailed his season. I would be avoiding at all costs.
Like, I legitimately was not joking when I thought that he could be 60K at the end of the year. Logan Angove is asking, are you still planning on getting Tyrell Harrison, mate?
Yeah, and I'm still hoping to get a discount. Won't be this week, and I'll have a look come round 11. He may be my stash at centre for the rest of the year, pending Montrez. Is Montrez power forward eligible as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, look, I probably will hold Harrison. I'm hoping I'm picking him up around that 280K. He's about 303 at the moment, I think.
Yep. I think he's still on my radar. I am confident that I can work out a pattern as to when Tyrell Harrison doesn't play well to when he does play well. And it depends on whether you are a stretch five. I think he really struggles to a big body where I think that he is the best center when playing against genuine centers in the league. We saw him score really well against Sam Froling earlier on in the year, who is in himself a good player, but it just keeps playing in the it just keeps him playing close to the basket, which is conducive to Supercoach points.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd be really interested to actually see that. If we actually sat down, went through the schedule, we've got a big enough sample size now, and it's probably, if you're holding him on your squad, it might be a start-sit thing, matchup dependent.
Legend 24 had the question pretty similar to mine with PJC earlier, but he's just saying, would you bring in Cotton this week on a double or KD, Kendrick Davis, on a single because of the 4 break even?
What's Cotton's break even? See, if Cotton's got a pretty low break even, he's going to make good cash as well. I think you could almost carry Cotton.
Here's a 42 break even on a double. So it's basically 21 per game, which I think he shits in.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I think you can bring in Cotton and then move Cotton to KD. You'd want to have a little bit of cash in the bank, I think. I think KD goes up a little more, but if you can absorb that, maybe that's the way to go.
Jake is asking, with the Bullets win and the confidence that they have, do we think that they can beat Perth next week?
I don't see why not. I think Perth are in all kinds of trouble. Cotton's back, but they've learned to play without Cotton. They've got to relearn how to play with him, with a Ben Henschel, with an Elijah Pepper, who all of a sudden think that they need to get shots. But it's funky in Perth, isn't it? Like, even look, Windler, Doolittle, Pinder, no one's playing probably to their potential.
You know what? I'm going to throw something my under-12s cricket coach threw at me. Do you want to be a team of champions or a champion team? And I think Perth are a team of champions, but the way that they play out on the floor, I don't think they're a champion team.
Which is fine, but I don't think the Bullets are a champion team either.
No, and it's not about the Bullets. I just think looking at the Wildcats and their outlook for the year, I think that there are a lot of individuals out there. And that's what they were pointing.
Here's a question, and I might put this poll in our Discord. Can John really coach, and should he keep his job?
Somebody asked me, said, can we start a John really hate club? And I said, somebody asked that to me on Twitter. And do you want to know what I answered him? I said, there already is one. It's called the NBL community. Let's move on. Again, lots of questions like, has Batemon taken over Prather's place? Look, I'm not sure we can answer that just yet. But I think after a guy scores 51, he just demanded an uptick in minutes.
You'd have to have some balls as Schuler not to start him again.
And the last question, where's the spin, is asking, are we punting Doolittle this week? So Doolittle heads into a double-double, so still 2 doubles, but with a 74 break even.
Mm. Look, the 74 break even doesn't put me off that much. I feel like he is a low 30s per game scorer. So I think, if he gets 235s, he just misses it. But I am very, very conscious of losing that cash and then potentially not being able to get to a Montrez. I'm going to sit on and watch this one for the week, see what happens to Trez suspension-wise. I'm not that upset to start Almanza, who I already hold, if it means stopping the leak with this cash early. It's more about what I want to do with the money than what I think I do little.
I'm thinking something pretty similar, but I currently have enough cash to go Doolittle, Cooks to Trez. And that's my plan, riding the doubles,
Yeah.
burning those trades, hoping I don't have any injuries. And if I miss out on a week of Trez because I have a guy injured, I will cop that because I just had a guy injured. But I think that's the only way I can do it. I also think if I do that, I can't afford to get to Kendrick Davis for a week.
Yeah.
And in a perfect world, I could do that, but I think Kendrick Davis is a bigger buy.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Right,
Than
there's
Montrezl
one
Harrell.
more I wouldn't mind getting your thoughts on.
Put her up.
I've lost it. It's gone. Something
Okay.
about JA. Oh, here we go. Start sit. PJC, Cotton, Jalen.
PJC, Cotton, and JA. Honestly, I think PJC and JA heading into next week.
Yeah, I think so. Look, JA's got a couple of games under his belt now. The break even is going to be pretty good. I don't really care what combination that falls in, as long as PJC is one of them. But yeah, look, plenty of options.
Paul has a big one. What was the Hawks part of that plan? I still have boosts, so that's amazing. And the boosts are to play Sam Froling in. The plan was to get Sam Froling in this week, and I've been having a chat to one of the other guys that's doing really well about this in my DMs. And it's Sam Froling in to step up or down to Tyrell Harrison after that. I just think Sam Froling is the only guy I can confidently add, because I think Trey Kell is going to be up and down. He's going to score 20. He's going to score 40. I think we're going to get 30 a week from Sam Froling. So,
All right. I can't wait to see how it plays out.
mate, we're actually going to have 9 days off. So we're going to have a little bit of a break. We're going to be back. Just last year, we did a schedule planner. I think we've done a better job of answering the schedule questions along the way. So maybe we'll just answer some of those questions in our Patreon rather than doing a whole episode like we did last year. Just give us a week off. We'll be back Wednesday next week for our preview for round 10. And, mate,
Long service leave.
long service leave. You have listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast. Cheerio.